AI automation. Yeah, I can just imagine it. I'm lounging on a beach, devouring chocolates, while AI handles all of my drudgery. Sounds perfect, right? Not quite. The Zapier plugin and ChatGPT integration show a lot of promise, but also it falls down in several ways. I'm going to take you through a deep dive of the Zapier plugin, including Zaps and AI actions. Then I'm going to blow it all out of the water by showing you a simple, free, and almost unheard of tool that allows you to skip all of the AI automation clunkiness and finally get done now. Hey there, it is I versus AI. In order to use the Zapier plugin with ChatGPT, you'll need to make sure that it is enabled in the settings. Some plugins, like Zapier, require you to authenticate, or in other words, connect your ChatGPT account and your Zapier account. I recommend using my master plugin prompt to get a complete and detailed explanation of what any plugin in the plugin store can do, namely by showing you its available functions and parameters. As always, this prompt will be available in the description and the pinned comment below. The prompt will always give you a description and show you the available functions and parameters. Functions and parameters are nothing more than what ChatGPT can ask of Zapier and how. Search all actions searches through all actions Zapier supports. And parameters are what you can search for. You can include the count. In other words, the number of results that you get back from your search query. And the master prompt includes examples of things that you can ask that you would use to call a function. For example, search all actions related to Gmail. Because you know that there is a count parameter, you could also include return 10 results. The prompt will also give you one basic prompt example with a use case idea, 3 advanced prompts, 3 unusual prompts, and multi-step prompts. And finally, some multi-plugin prompts. You could use the Zapier plugin and chain it together with other plugins to get even more from them. Let's start by searching all actions related to Gmail to see what we could do to automate our Gmail account. Here are some actions related to Gmail. Send email, find email, reply to email. Because there are over 5,000 apps in the Zapier ecosystem, sorted for Gmail is coming up as an option, another app that you can use to do things in Gmail. I'll just copy and paste this basic prompt. If you want to learn more about what the plugin is doing behind the scenes, I always encourage you to hit the down arrow here and see the request that ChatGPT made to Zapier and Zapier's response. And here's our Zap. This Zap, consisting of a trigger and an action, is a single step Zap. Finally, we can head to the beach. Let's turn this on and get going. Uh-oh. And that is the first problem with the ChatGPT and Zapier integration. ChatGPT can write Zaps for you, or at least the very basics of Zaps, but it can't set up the required fields that you will need when you're creating a Zap. Also, if you have not connected your Google Sheets or Gmail in this account, you'll have to connect those apps the first time that you want to use them. The trigger contains 3 different sections. The app and event section. In this case, I'm using Google Sheets. The event. Every app contains a list of different things that you can use to trigger your automation. You'll click continue to account, and here's where you'll connect your Google Sheets account. Finally, in the trigger, you'll need to connect the exact spreadsheet that you want to use. Here is my test spreadsheet, and it never takes more than a second or two for it to show up in this list once you've created it. A little tip, having your spreadsheet set up will save you some time and trouble. I've put contact name, contact phone, contact email, and one example row. This example row will be very important for allowing you to map the data that your spreadsheet has into the next app, in this case, Gmail. Note that just having the header column will not do. You'll need to have at least one example record below the header column in order for Zapier to pick it up. We'll continue with the selected record. Now let's click in any field, and you'll see this list of data coming up. This is being pulled from our spreadsheet. In other words, it's being pulled from earlier in the automation. You can get quite complicated by pulling information in from a source and then mapping it out to other sources. In this case, we're just going to send this to, let's say, our sales team. I'd like the contact name to be in the subject so my sales team knows who the contact is. Just click on contact name. I've put a from name here, and there are other fields that you can fill out if you wish. We'll click continue. You can test the action and make sure it works. I've skipped this test because I am using emails that do not exist for this example. But once you've tested your action and you're sure your Zap works, then hit publish and your Zap is ready to go. Not only can ChatGPT create Zaps for you through the Zapier plugin, but it can also allow you to skip the whole Zap creation process. And for simple single steps, you can have ChatGPT trigger an action for you. In Zapier's documentation on AI actions, it has included an example. Please email Joanne Smith and let them know the analysis that was due Friday is ready for review today. Let's set up an AI action using ChatGPT and use this exact prompt. If you don't have a Gmail action set up in your AI actions list, ChatGPT will prompt you to configure it first. And this is where things get a little bit confusing because the AI actions beta from Zapier resides in a different place than your normal dashboard. In fact, I looked through the Zapier dashboard and did not see a single mention of this OpenAI AI actions beta integration dashboard. The only place that I have seen that you can get to it is directly through ChatGPT giving you a link. Let's add a new action. You can search for any kind of action here, or this search all actions function can also give you access to all the available actions in all the 5,000 apps that Zapier has connected. You'll get a long list of actions that will show you every single app that has anywhere in it the word email in its action description, whether it is send an email or subscribed to an email or any other type of email action. In this case, Gmail send email is right on top. You can have AI guess the field, you can set a specific value for this field, or you can include nothing, no value for that particular field. From an efficiency standpoint, having AI guess the value for this field is as dodgy as you might imagine. ChatGPT might frequently put in information that simply doesn't exist. This is partly due to a prompt being incomplete, not having the exact email address for Joanne Smith in our prompt, for example. Not to mention, as we all know, that ChatGPT will hallucinate in its output. Let's enable the action and see what happens. Naturally, you're not going to want to send this like this. So let's edit it. I've changed the email address to the channel's email address. The subject remains the same, and I've added my name to the end of the email. The action has been run, and the email is received. It works! AI Actions is a really cool idea, being able to have ChatGPT write content for you and send it directly in an email, or, for example, add it to a spreadsheet row. Write a tweet for you and send it, or draft a document and add it right to your Google Docs. But there are two problems with the AI integration and the Zapier plugin as it stands right now. One, you have to review every action before you run it. That's reasonable because ChatGPT makes so many mistakes that you really wouldn't want it sending out emails on your behalf that you had not had a chance to review. But also, it's basically single-step Zaps. Create an email or add this to a document, and that's fine. But if you want to use multi-step Zaps or do things that are a little bit more complicated, you're going to start to run into walls using the AI actions. They're really designed for just very simple one-step things that you can ask ChatGPT to use. Write something and email it, or write something and send it to a Google Doc, or write something and tweet it. You get my point. Therefore, if you want to do an action through ChatGPT, at least for the first time, you're going to need to do several steps. Ask ChatGPT to create an AI action for you, or create one yourself. Set it up, send the prompt to ChatGPT to use the action, and review and confirm it. But where ChatGPT does shine as a tool for Zapier is in brainstorming. Let's brainstorm some ideas on how I could automate my social media with Zapier. What other Twitter-related apps does Zapier connect to? ChatGPT has given us 5 different Twitter-related actions and a few ideas. But that's where the real power lies, is letting ChatGPT work with you as a co-pilot in creating automation ideas that you can then set up for your particular use case, rather than asking ChatGPT to be a solo, rather erratic automation pilot in a very primitive plane. We've just done a deep dive on the ChatGPT Zapier plugin integration, and it's got a lot of promise, but it's clunky. Now let's blow it all out of the water with one free, simple, and practically unknown little tool that will allow you to finally just get done now. This tool, it's called ChatKey, and I was not lying. It only has 38 stars on GitHub. It promises to supercharge your productivity with ChatGPT and AutoHotkey. AutoHotkey is a free and open source custom scripting language for Microsoft Windows. It's been around for ages, since 2003, and it really is the ultimate automation scripting language for Windows. It's open source and it's free. And because it's been around for so long, ChatGPT is aware of its syntax and can write AutoHotkey scripts for you. Essentially, ChatKey is a small tool that enables you to use your own ChatGPT and GPT-4 prompts in any application that supports text input. So let me make this clear. Wherever there is text on your computer, no matter what program, as long as you can select that text, you can send a prompt about that text to OpenAI's API using ChatKey. For example, follow the instructions. In other words, run the prompt. Make it sound better. Autocomplete. Explain in simple terms, and so much more. But you're not limited to just those prompts. In the config file, it is very easy to add your own prompts and indicate what you want the temperature to be in order to get something more random or generally thought of as creative back from the model, or to get something more determined. You can also specify whether you want to use the GPT 3.5 model or the GPT-4 model. ChatKey is easy to set up. First, you'll just download the latest release, extract the zip file, and you'll see this folder. Inside the folder are 2 items, chatkey.exe and the config file. First, let's get your OpenAI API key set up. The first step of the directions indicate that you must add an API key to the environment variable. This stumped me for a bit, but here's how you do it. Click the search, type in ENV for environments, and when you see edit the system environment variables, click that. Click on environment variables, click new, as instructed on the ChatKey page, put in OpenAI _token in all caps. In variable value, put your API key there. If you don't put in your OpenAI key in that environment variable area, you'll get an error when you try and run ChatKey. Because I find ChatKey so important, I've actually added it to my startup folder so that it starts up every time that I open up Windows. When you start ChatKey, nothing of interest will happen. It will simply show up in your taskbar. But the magic happens when you begin working with text. Again, in any app that you have on your computer. For example, let's run that prompt again where we're going to send an email to Joanne Smith and let them know the analysis was due Friday. Except this time, we're going to put that prompt directly into an email. By default, the hotkey is Alt plus period, but you can change that very easily in the config file. Once you have text selected, hit the hotkey and a menu will pop up wherever your cursor is on the screen. You can now follow the instructions, make it sound better, autocomplete, etc. The developer has even included a way for you to quickly open up this menu, and here is a little key. For this one, It is the period key, or the number 1 or number 2, to quickly run a prompt. And in a few moments, this window will pop up with what the GPT model you're using has returned to you through the API. In this case, an email to Joanne Smith. In order to put the text wherever you are typing, simply hit the button here and it adds the text, and there's your email. But because this prompt was very basic, this is a very generic email. So what if you want to add a prompt to get something more specific to your use case, or to perhaps use a writing sample? You want a more detailed prompt. For that, we'll need to head to the config file. The config file is very simple. Here, I've changed my hotkey to Alt plus Q. The developer has included symbols here, which will show you how to use Control, Alt, or Shift, plus whatever letter you would like on your keyboard. Here is the pop-up menu, and you can see the same prompts that I've already showed you. But you can see a new prompt here, Create Tweet. This prompt I've added myself. To add a prompt, simply scroll down here and add a prompt. To get started, I simply copied this prompt here and pasted it here and changed it. Make sure that the prompt name matches the name in the pop-up menu. You can even include extra parameters like temperature or the model. On the GitHub page, the developer has included general settings and adding prompts, and as well all of the different prompt settings you can use. Now you can use GPT-4 anywhere. See something on Reddit that looks a bit complicated? Select the text, explain in simple terms, and there is a simple explanation. One last tip. After you're done reading your explanation, there's no X button here on ChatKey. Just make sure that you have the window selected and then hit the escape key. As reports continue to roll in that ChatGPT is getting worse, getting dumber, I have also noticed the degradation in the model myself. It's more frustrating nowadays to get things done with ChatGPT. The real powerhouse users are going to be finding apps like ChatKey or creating apps to solve problems using the API and skipping ChatGPT altogether. But the API has two problems. One, it does not have plugins. And two, no code interpreter. Or is there? I found a way to avoid the 8 frustrating flaws of code interpreter by creating my own personal code interpreter in a wonderful free app called Obsidian. And I show you how in this video on screen right now.